Hi there, and so this is another drawing demonstration. So in this demonstration I'm showing you a process of tonal drawing where you remove tone. So you start off, as you can see, and you're just laying down as much charcoal as possible. And the idea is you're reversing the drawing process this time. So normally we work from light to dark, adding our darks. But with this exercise, we're going to try and remove charcoal by using a putty rubber and the blending stick. So as you can see, I've got my reference up in the corner there, which is a still life. And when you're choosing your reference material, if you're going to do a still life, as in this example, you want something that's got lots of contrast. So if you're going to set something up, you want to get a light on it, dim the room down, get a very bright light and shine it on there so you get very strong lights and darks. Just setting up in a normal room that's got lots of light sources won't really give you the reference material you need for this. Now, as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm using the putty rubber. So you give the rubber a bit of a squidge around with your fingers and that cleans it up, which you need to do a lot in this process. And then as you can see, I'm able to sort of draw into the charcoal quite nicely. Now the trick is you're not really meant to be drawing lines. I mean, it's very difficult to get out of that habit, but I'm trying my best just to pick out the lights. So instead of drawing dark outlines, I'm looking for those lighter shades just to establish the masses. And as I say at the beginning, it really is this process of just trying to discover the forms. So I really like this way of drawing. It's a bit similar. When I was at university, as I mentioned, I did quite a lot of printmaking. And because printmaking, so in lino cuts, in lino prints, you're removing the lino. So where you remove becomes light. So in order to practice that, what I did is I bought quite a lot of black paper and I would just try to create drawings by using white chalk or yellow chalk or something like that. And it's a very interesting process, and it gets you into thinking in a different way than we normally do. So normally we just put on our darks. But this, I find it's just very effective at creating a strong sense of form. Okay, so you can see I'm using just a bit of tissue there, and you need the right paper and the right charcoal. And so some papers will sort of hang on to the charcoal, make it very difficult to remove it. This is just normal cartridge paper, and this works well. But some papers can have a sort of grain to them, and it makes it quite difficult to do this removal. So you'll have to do trial and error, but as long as you're using vine charcoal and not compressed charcoal, you should be okay. So there's the blending stump, and so I'm starting to refine there. So again, with my other tonal demonstration that I filmed recently of the path, you generally start with fairly bold sort of marks showing you where the lights and the darks are, breaking the form down really into a few simple tones, the lights, the darks and the mid values. So we're not interested in detail at this stage, it's very much working from the general to the specific. Once you've got your big tonal shapes established, then you can go on and do a bit of refining. But you have to try and resist at the beginning the temptation to refine everything. The charcoal is a bit unforgiving in it's difficult to refine it too much. I find the more you work into it, the harder it is to control. So you really don't want to do too much. What happens is you sort of destroy the grain of the paper by rubbing into it too much, and it starts to smudge. And then when you try and darken it, it lightens, and vice versa. So you have to try and be quite bold and just not overwork the surface when you do this technique. So you can see there, the stump, the paper stump there, if it gets a bit heavy with charcoal, you just give it a clean on a spare bit of paper, just to stay in control of it, and then it can become like a drawing tool in its own right. It smudges, but it's also, you can add and remove charcoal with that. Okay, so now this is like our sort of cylindrical form of the jug. So we're thinking about our highlight here, and then that's moving into our mid values. You can see already it's just got this strong sort of graphic sort of quality to it. And if you can get the tones approximately right, you know, you don't need to spend ages refining detail. You know, we're not after a sort of photographic sort of representation of the forms. We're just trying to get the big things right. And then our eye and our brain will do a lot of the work for us if we can set up the right conditions. So this was a still life that I set up for my students in my class. I think this must have been early last year, before COVID struck. And I often do a term a year on still life painting. And I'm very keen on, if you can set up a sort of, you can create a cardboard box, get a cardboard box, and then you can use that to create a sort of black backdrop. And then I shine a light inside, and it's a very good way to sort of stage your still lifes. And I mainly use it in my classes just because it makes life so much easier. If you have well lit still lifes with a strong light source, it makes the painting just, you know, 10 times easier than when it's got multiple light sources on. Also, this tonal idea of light shapes, illuminated shapes against a dark background, is very sort of, you know, that's very much part of traditional still life, and it works really well. So it's if you can set something up like this, then that will help you with these sorts of drawings. So you can see once I've got it established, I'm now adding and subtracting. So and I think, you know, I mean, I could have actually left it here. I say you don't need to put lots of detail in. You can be sort of suggestive with these sorts of drawings. And this one really doesn't rely on outline, so I did no preparatory drawing for this. I just went straight into the tone. But having said that, I mean, I did this as a demonstration, so I was working quite quickly. I think if you had more time to spend, then you could sort of work into it. I've read somewhere that there is a technique where you do charcoal drawings, and you can fix it at various stages. So you can work into it and then fix the drawing and then carry on working into it, and that's a great way to build up tonal values. So you can see there I did a sort of smudging effect. I sort of just lightened it around the highlights, and I sometimes do that in my paintings as well. And it's really because I don't like the object to be almost like a cutout. So it creates more of a transition into the darks. Now I've probably slightly overstated it there, but the effect is the same. It creates just the feeling of the objects sort of glowing or shimmering, and you know, having that very strong cutout light against dark is a bit harsh. So I find that this effect works quite nicely. So you can play around with that, and you know, you can try it out. If it doesn't work, you can rub back into it. You can sort of draw back into it and re-establish the darks, as I do here a bit. And as you can see, with an approach like this could be done as a preparation for a painting, or even a preparation for a more detailed sort of drawing. I say this study only took me, I say, best part of about 40 odd minutes. And I've speeded it up a bit for you here, but just to really show you the technique. So I'm just re-establishing the darks there. So there we go. So just a few more little details there, and again, these are all like the icing on the cake, and you don't really want to overwork it. And I'm just tidying up there. You could also use masking tape to tidy up the, that would keep your edges nice and crisp. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and give it a go at home. Let me know how you get on, and I will see you again soon. So thanks a lot. Bye.